Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. My name is Sarah Ayeko. Our top stories for tonight. Thank you for joining us, and now the details. The federal government is considering the relocation of some of its agencies that are occupying rented properties into some buildings seized from treasury looters. The move is part of efforts aimed at reducing the high expenditure on rent and office buildings by agencies of government. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, discloses this while speaking at the opening session of a meeting with the members of the National Steering Committee of the Efficiency Unit. The minister, while lamenting the huge cost being incurred by government on residential and office buildings, says between 2012 and 2014, an average yearly sum of 3.5 billion naira was spent on rent by the government. The Efficiency Unit, headed by Patience Oniha, was set up by Kemi Adeosun last year to reduce the level of recurrent expenditure and engender transparency through efficiency in procurement in the various ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government. And also, the federal government has dissolved the executive management of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company of Nigeria Limited, led by James Abiodun Olotu. According to a statement by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, Olotu has been directed to hand over immediately to Chiedu Ugbo, who has been appointed as the acting managing director. The NDPHC was established in 2005 to serve as the legal vehicle to contract, hold, manage and operate the assets of Nigerian Independent Power Project using the private sector best practices. The company, which is owned by the three tiers of government, generates and distributes electricity through open and combined cycle gas turbine plants. And 1 year of the Dogara-led House of Representatives has brought unprecedented achievements in so many areas under the legislative year in review that lawmakers are scoring the lower legislative chamber eye as the Committee on Rules and Business attempts to showcase how far the House has done. And moving on now, more than 600 militants are asking the federal government to reclaim the ceded Bakassi Peninsula from Cameroon. The armed group, referred to as Bakassi Strike Force, said apart from not being carried along before, during and after the ceding process, the indigents of Bakassi have been neglected by the federal government and other local and international stakeholders. The militants, also known as Esigi Group, had a one-hour boat display with heavy weapons around Esigi axis of Bakassi before proceeding to Esuk Umba. While admitting that they will be ready to embrace amnesty if extended to them, leader of the group, General Simple, also known as Humble Lion, says the people of Cross River and Akwa Ibom State have been sidelined by the federal government in the amnesty program. And meanwhile, the Joint Revolutionary Council of the Joint Niger Delta Liberation Force has warned that it will go after any state governor from the Niger Delta region that betrays the current struggle by militants. The group, in a statement by the Commander, General Duties Akpotebe Daikoro, and 3 others, explained why the militant group did not launch 6 missiles in the region, as earlier threatened. The group also gave a 7-point demand to forestall further attacks. In its war stand, warned that any governor who plans with the federal government to work against them shall be dealt with. And still on security matters, the police in Kano State has arraigned the prime suspect and 4 others believed to have masterminded and killed a 74-year-old Christian woman trader, Bridget Agbahime. The suspects are Dawudu Ahmed, Abdullahi Mustafa, Zubairu Abubakar, Abdullahi Abubakar and Musa Abdullahi, with others still at large. According to the police first information report read out to all the accused persons, reads that Bridget Agbahime was falsely accused of blaspheming the Prophet Muhammad. The suspects were also accused of using dangerous weapons to hit her head, which caused serious injuries that subsequently led to her death. All the 5 accused persons pleaded not guilty to charges against them, but the police prosecutor Usman Jibril pleaded the court to adjourn the case to enable them complete investigations. After that, the presiding magistrate Muhammad Jibrin adjourned the case to June 28, as he further directed that the suspect should be remanded in prison. And a new paramilitary outfit known as Citizens for Peace and First Aid Missions of Nigeria has been established in Kaduna State for the purpose of intelligence gathering across the country. This was disclosed during the decoration of Muhammad Abdullahi Aliyu Indatu Abdul Wahab and Adamu Musa, all of Sokoto Command, briefing newsmen on the need for establishment of the outfit, despite having a lot of government agencies saddled with the responsibility of managing crisis. National Guard Commander General Dominic Iko-Ogo states that their modus operandi is different, as they intend to use the grassroots to gather intelligence and later feed the police, army and other security operatives. And now to corruption matters, where the former Comptroller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, David Paradang, is telling the Federal High Court in Abuja that there was no budget provision for the 2014 botched immigration recruitment exercise. Parandang states this while testifying as a first prosecution witness in the ongoing trial of former Minister of Interior Abba Moro, who is being charged with 676 million naira recruitment fraud. Our judiciary correspondent Basile Kafa was there and tells us more.
Led in evidence by the Prosecution Counsel, the former Comptroller General told the court that the agency was not ready for the recruitment exercise due to financial constraints. He went further to say that he received a letter from the Board of Immigration Service a day to the exercise. The prosecution witness informed the court that upon the receipt of the letter, he inquired from the board on the level of preparation and was told that the paltry sum of 300,000 naira had been sent to the zonal commands for the exercise. He further said that the amount was not even enough to hire a venue for the exercise, let alone getting ambulances and other logistics. Though the prosecution counsel did not speak to journalists, but defense counsels were on hand to shed more light on what transpired.
But it's very clear from the evidence so far that no wrongdoing has so far been disclosed on his part, so far as we can see. And when we come to cross-examine, you'll find that he was actuated at all times by the public interest and with the zeal to do the right thing and to correct the wrongs of the past.
Defendant and the other defendants, we continued with the examination in chief of the first prosecution witness, and he has also tendered several documents, several letters, and tried to show that he was not part of the award of the contract for the recruitment.
The trial judge, Justice Nnamdi Dimba, has adjourned the matter till June 1st for defense counsels to cross-examine the prosecution witness. Abamuru and 4 others are accused of defrauding 676,675 applicants of the sum of 676,675,000 naira, being the aggregate of 1,000 naira paid by each applicant for the recruitment exercise. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Youth unemployment in Nigeria is a major challenge facing the government, with the growing population of both skilled and unskilled workers finding it difficult to secure paid employment. This is why the Initiative for Leadership and Economic Watch in Nigeria reveals that venturing in a religious pilgrimage exercise is an initiative by the NCPC to empower unemployed youths in order to reduce job scarcity in the country. A correspondent tells us more.
Statistics shows that 12.1% of Nigerian youths are unemployed and are in the labor market in search of jobs. The step taken by the NCPC is seen as important with training of young people on skill acquisition and making them masters of themselves.
By an adroit move, the Nigerian Christian Pilgrimage Commission was able to place a transparent program of pilgrimage support in conjunction with the NLRC that will not only ease the burden of funding Christian pilgrims, but also serve as an avenue to generate jobs and source of livelihood for unemployed citizens.
In line with the Buhari administration to create 500,000 jobs, the group advised office holders to embrace patriotism and transparency in their service to the nation.
In this era of change, patriotism, transparency are twin factors that are highly needed, and those public office holders who demonstrate this attribute should be commended by civil society organizations and all true patriots.
With such initiative by the group, there just may be better days for the unemployed whose skills are being honed for greater socio-economic productivity.
Former Plateau State Governor and 7th Senator Joshua Dariye has announced a change of plans, saying his trial for alleged 1.16 billion naira fraud opting to make a no-case submission as against conducting defense. Dariye is being prosecuted before Justice Adebukola Banjoko of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT in Gudu, Abuja, for allegedly diverting Plateau State Ecological Fund estimated at 1.16 billion naira while it was the governor in the state. The prosecution closed its case after calling 10 witnesses, following which Dariye's lawyer Garba Paul informed the court about his client's readiness to conduct his defense. Paul later announced a change of plans and said his client had chosen to make a no-case submission. A no-case submission is where a defendant in a criminal case makes a submission arguing that prosecution failed by its evidence to establish a prima facie case against him to warrant him to be required to enter defense. And away from that now, Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State has renamed the Kogi State University Ayangba after the late first civilian governor of the state, Abubakar Audu. Yahaya Bello announced the change in the name of the 15-year-old university during a statewide broadcast to mark his victory at the state governorship election petition tribunal. According to him, naming the university is the ultimate honor that could be done to the memory of the late politician who ruled the state twice as a civilian governor from 1999 to 1993 and 1999 to 2003. An executive bill will soon be forwarded to the House of Assembly to formalize the change in the name of the university. Audu, who was the candidate of the All Progressive Congress in the November 21st, 2015 governorship election in the state, died suddenly on November 22nd before the result of the election was announced. And former spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Olisa Metu, is now on admission at the Lagos University Hospital 2 weeks after he left the National Hospital in Abuja, where he was once on bed rest. His lawyer, Emeka Etiaba, disclosed this at the resumption of proceedings in Metu's trial before Justice Okon Abang of the Federal High Court in Abuja. On Etiaba's request for adjournment, Justice Abang frowned at the failure by the National Hospital to communicate to the court the circumstances leading to Metu's relocation to Luth. Metu last attended proceedings on May 23rd when his fourth witness, Anthony Okeke, commenced giving evidence. The former PDP spokesperson and his company are being tried before the court for alleged unlawful receipt of 400 million naira from the office of the National Security Advisor and money laundering. The case has been adjourned till July 7th for the continuation of proceedings. And Governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode, has assured Lagosians that the 25 billion naira employment trust fund recently established by the state will be distributed through a credible and transparent process. Ambode disclosed this at a stakeholders summit organized by the state's Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment through a statement by its chief press secretary, Abib Aruna. The governor, represented at the event by his deputy, Idiat Adebule, explains that the fund is meant for residents of the state with marketable business ideas. The state government established the fund to support small-scale businesses and people with innovative business ideas as part of its plan to tackle unemployment in the state. And while you're watching CoreTV Primetime News broadcasting live from our Lagos studio, we will be back after this break. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DJ360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. But before we go on, a reminder of our top stories for tonight. Thanks for joining us again. You can get this and more of our top stories in our social media platforms on facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow at our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. You can also watch our videos on our YouTube channel on youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. The discrimination and misunderstanding of albinism in the society leads to the daily loss of lives of albinos. To this end, President of the Albino Foundation, Jake Epele, is calling on the federal government to ensure strategic measures put in place to afford persons living with albinism equal rights and protection. Our correspondent Aniete Patrick tells us more.
The foundation, in its fight for equal rights, is also empowering its members through education and skill acquisition programs.
The foundation, we're very passionate about education and economic empowerment. We encourage them to go to school. We pay school fees. We give scholarship grants at the foundation level with our partners.
Media officer of the Albino Foundation says there is a need for albinos to be qualified in their fields and show self-confidence in their daily life activities.
A member and staff of the foundation, we advocate for our members to be qualified in anything they are going to do. We don't subscribe for a member who is not qualified and you are looking for a job, or for us to go there and begin to make noise because you are an albino. First of all, you must be qualified.
With a population of over 300,000 persons living with albinism in the nation, it's only appropriate for governments and stakeholders to intervene in dehumanizing and killing of persons with albinism.
We use this opportunity to strongly condemn the call by the Malawian government to ask the media not to broadcast the issues and the challenges that they are going through in Malawi. That is not acceptable. I believe that the media have brought a lot of passion and energy and action on the issues of persons with albinism, and that should continue.
In providing solution and enhancing vision for people with albinism, a specialist of optometry will be speaking on clinical strategies for managing low vision come 13th June 2016, International Albinism Day. Aniete Patrick, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And in the meantime, stakeholders are asking the federal government to declare a state of emergency on the maintenance and management of the ocean and beaches if they hope to generate revenue through aquatourism. Speaking at a campaign aimed at cleaning the ocean front on beaches across Lagos State and in celebration of World Oceans Day, convener of the Eco Restoration Foundation, David Omagomi, says the relevance of the ocean to improving the nation's GDP is enormous. Our correspondent Aki Obake tells us more.
Save our boats and remove all shipwrecks. Save our coast and plant the trees today.
Representatives across all generations have come out to lend their voices and hands at ensuring that the waterfront is rid of dirt and rubble. Convener of the Eco Restoration Foundation is calling on the federal government to act fast by declaring a state of emergency in reviving the ocean's resources.
To celebrate the World Oceans Day today, President Muhammadu Buhari will heed our call to declare a coastal emergency in Nigeria and immediately implement the integrated coastal area management plan for the country.
The activists are not only talking but walking the talk as they embark on picking dirt off the coastline. Furthermore, stakeholders present say the effects of a dirty and unkempt ocean line is enormous.
The fishes, unknowingly for them, they tend to swallow the plastic, the disposables and other ones. Then with this, over time, they can't digest it. It tends to affect them, their breathing rate and other things. They eventually die.
To enjoy the abundance of the ocean and beach in tourism and revenue generation, Nigerians are urged to imbibe international standard of beach maintenance across the country.
When you talk of international standards, we are very far from it. If you go to the beaches in America, you will see that they've gone ahead. You will not see this type of plastics that we are talking about because private people have taken it over them. And before you get to the beach, they have cleaned up everything.
1, 2, 3, 4.
In the spirit of the commemoration of the World Oceans Day, a call has gone out to the government and indeed every Nigerian not to neglect the potentials of the ocean, particularly the beaches in Nigeria, considering the high tourism potential it has in the country. At the Lekki Beach, I'm Akinkunmi Obake, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And to further celebrate the season of Ramadan, Muslims should do more of charity to fellow Muslims who are in need and their neighbors to ensure that people who are in difficulty also have succor. Chief Imam of Nurul Bayan Academy, Wuse Zone 5 in Abuja, Abubakar Banchi, also urges Muslims to be their brother's keeper while also calling for prayers for Nigeria and President Muhammadu Buhari. Our correspondent Kozim Kasali tells us more.
With the Ramadan fast in its 5th day, Muslims from all over the world gathered for the first Jumat service, and the story was not different in Abuja. At the Nurul Bayan Academy here in Zone 5, faithful were also in attendance to observe the 2 rakah obligatory prayer. Chief Imam of the mosque, Abubakar Banchi, says it is a time to reflect for all Muslims, urging them to be their brother's keeper. He also discloses that Ramadan is an important month for Muslims, urging all to offer prayers for the prosperity of Nigeria and President Muhammadu Buhari, and for our country and leaders, so that we can get back to where we used to be.
Dan kasuwa ya kyautata wa mutane a cikin abun da ya siya, ba sai abun da shi yake so ba, ya kyautata al'umman annabi, Allah zai kyautata masa.
All Muslims should also give alms, not just money but clothes, especially to internally displaced persons. This worshipper also urges all Muslims and Nigerians to pray together and offer prayers for the success of Nigeria. He says Ramadan is an obligation on all Muslims that must be fulfilled.
Alhamdulillah, Allah has prescribed Ramadan for us as He prescribed for the others in front of us, and He reveals so many ayahs regarding Ramadan, and it is important to all the Muslims. This Ramadan is not different from the previous one, unless there's a little bit hardship from the people that everybody had expected the fellow Muslims to assist each other.
The Ramadan fast is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and is compulsory on all able-bodied and physically fit Muslims. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And in business, South African telecoms company MTN Nigeria has agreed to pay a $1.7 billion fine to the Nigerian government in a full and final settlement over its failure to disconnect unregistered mobile phone users. The Johannesburg-based company in a statement says MTN Nigeria has agreed to pay a total cash amount of 330 billion naira over the 3 years. The telecoms operator was fined $3.9 billion last year and has since been in negotiations with the Nigerian government over the size of the penalty. The Nigerian Communications Commission, the NCC, the country's telecoms regulator, handed down the fine last year, citing an inability to trace users in a country plagued by frequent kidnappings and Boko Haram militants. Meanwhile, MTN has already paid one installment in February and has scheduled 6 other payments to cover the sum by May 2019. And the Economic Community of West African Countries, the ECOWAS, says notable progress has been made in its plan to establish a single currency by the year 2020 and the adoption of a single biometric identity card for member states. The Liberian ambassador to Nigeria, El Hassan Conte, states this in Abuja while speaking on behalf of the permanent representatives of member states to ECOWAS at the 41st anniversary of the Commission. ECOWAS had fixed January 2015 for the implementation of the Common Currency Project in West Africa, but the agenda was later shifted to 2020 because member states were not able to satisfy the criteria for it. Conte, who was not categorically on the progress, expresses satisfaction at the level of achievement made so far by the Commission on the common currency for the region. He, however, states that the Commission has also achieved notable feats in other areas of strategic planning and cooperation. And in entertainment, actors of the Yoruba movie genre have been thrown into mourning following the death of their colleague Henrietta Kosoko, who passed away on Monday, June 6, 2016, at the age of 52 after a brief illness. The wake and artist night in celebration of the actress was highly graced by veterans of the industry and a representative of the governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon was there and gives us this report.
The atmosphere is filled with mourning as many express grief as the actress loved by all passes on. The late Henrietta Kosoko was born on the 30th of May 1964 and hails from Delta State. She started her career as an actress just after she got married to popular actor and president of the Association of Nigerian Theatre Arts Practitioners, ANTP, Jide Kosoko. Henrietta caught a niche immediately after featuring in popular Yoruba movies such as Omolade and Onome. She is survived by 4 children and her husband. Colleagues in the industry, friends and family took turns to express their emotions.
So painful, highly painful, because she's a very simple somebody. She doesn't fight with anybody. She doesn't have any quarrel with anybody. So, but we so much love her, but God loves her more than us.
She was a dedicated female actor, and she believed so much in what is worth doing at all is worth doing well.
A woman that was full with humility, easygoing, and very respectful. She was a close pal. The big sis were from the same Delta State, so we used to see ourselves as one big family.
She was a wonderful woman, a very pleasant woman.
I just prayed to God to make, keep them strong at this time, because it's a time to mourn and it's a time where you something very painful has happened. So it's only normal for them to mourn, but I pray that God will give them the strength.
We are actually talking about a woman that actually encourages youth. Whenever you're on the set with her, she's always willing and encouraging, so always willing and ready to support you, willing to tell you what to do and what not to do.
Family members and friends also have this to say about the late Kosoko.
As a man of flesh, we have nothing to say. I have nothing to say.
total submission to the will of Almighty God. Even though, as an husband, one will have loved that one leaves people like her behind.
She was very funny mother. She was someone who always supports everyone in everything they do, no matter how bad the situation is.
The burial rites, built to hold on the 10th of June at a residence in Lagos, has however been shifted to Abraka, Delta State, as demanded by our family. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
A highly painful exit of Henrietta Kosoko. We pray that the bereaved family will be consoled, and we pray that they will experience peace even after now. When CoreTV Primetime News returns, we'll bring you stories from outside Nigeria and in sports. To stay with us.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And on the foreign scene, at least 30 people, including 7 soldiers and an opposition member of parliament, have been arrested on suspicion of plotting to overthrow Uganda's government. Army spokesman Colonel Paddy Akunda says the group was suspected of planning an armed uprising against President Yoweri Museveni, himself a former rebel who seized power 30 years ago. The detainees are linked to rebel group, and Kuda added, declining, however, to give any further details. He says most of those arrested were soldiers, adding that at least 1 member of parliament and 1 opposition politician had also been arrested. And government forces have dropped crude barrel bombs on a suburb of the Syrian capital, Damascus, which received its first food aid delivery in 4 years. The violence came in Rebel El Daraya just hours after the Syrian Arab Red Crescent and the UN delivered food aid to its residents for the first time since it came under siege in 2012. The local council of Daraya says that at least 28 barrel bombs, crude unguided explosive devices, were dropped by helicopters. The food aid delivery came after the UN said the Syrian government had permitted access to 15 of the 19 besieged areas within the country. Daraya has been under siege since November 2012 and has witnessed some of the worst bombardments during Syria's civil war, now in the 6th year. And Kurdistan Freedom Orcs, an armed group known by the Kurdish language acronym TAK, has claimed responsibility for Tuesday's suicide bombing in the Turkish city of Istanbul that killed 11 people. The TAK, which is seen as a splinter group of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, say the attack is a revenge for Turkish army operations in the country's Kurdish-dominated southeastern region. The car bomb used in the attack destroyed a police bus in central Istanbul during the morning rush hour near the main tourist district, a major university and the mayor's office. TAK has already claimed 2 attacks this year that killed dozens of people in the Turkish capital Ankara in February and March, raising concerns over security in the country. And still on the foreign scene now, US-backed forces have seized control of the last route into Islamic State, completing the encirclement of the main target in a major advance against the militants. The Syrian Democratic Forces, supported by US-led airstrikes and American special forces, launched an advance last week to seize Islamic State lost territory on the Syria-Turkey border and cut the self-declared caliphate off from the world. According to Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said the SDF had effectively taken control of the final road to the city early on Friday. The observatory says nearly 160 Islamic State fighters have died in battles with the SDF around Man Beach, and more than 20 SDF fighters had been killed. And in sports,
our style, and that's what he delivered.
Thousands have attended the farewell procession for boxing legend Muhammad Ali in his home city of Louisville in the U.S. state of Kentucky. Onlookers cheered his cortege as it passed by on its way to a city cemetery, where it was then buried in a private service for family and friends. The ex-heavyweight champion and rights activist died last Friday, aged 74. An interfaith memorial service for the boxer is now being held at a major sports center, and former President Bill Clinton is to deliver one of the eulogies. And 15-time Copa America champions Uruguay has been sent out of the Copa America competition as Venezuela and Mexico marched into the quarterfinals. Uruguay were eliminated in the group phase for the first time since 1997 after slumping to a shock 1-0 loss to Venezuela in Philadelphia. That result, combined with Mexico's 2-0 Group C win over Jamaica in Pasadena, left the 2011 champions struggling to digest a humiliating early exit. And Colombian striker Radamel Falcao confirmed on Friday that he was returning to Monaco, where he played in 2013 and 2014 after two mediocre seasons on loan at Manchester United and Chelsea. Falcao's time in England was compromised by a serious injury in 2014 and his career never recovered. The 30-year-old wrote on his Instagram account alongside a photograph of him sporting a Monaco shirt that he is excited and enthusiastic to return to training with the club. And still in sports news, Spain fullback Hector Bellerin is relishing the thought of facing Arsenal teammate Thomas Rosicky when the 2008 and 2012 European Championship winners take on Group D rivals Czech Republic on Monday. Midfielder Rosicky will captain the Czechs, while Bellerin, who made his international debut 2 weeks ago, could start again in Toulouse. 21-year-old Bellerin is the youngest player in his national team squad and has been named in tournament organizer UEFA Young Guns 6. And that's it on CoreTV Sports News and on Primetime News. But before we go, a recap of our top stories for tonight. And that's a wrap on CoreTV Primetime News. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sarah Ayuku. Have a pleasant night.